Welcome everyone to week 2 of this Women's Traditions study. My name is Tuija. I'm a recovered alcoholic, grateful to be sober, and I'm glad you're all here. So this week we are on Tradition 2. Can you all see the screen share there? Okay, great. So we'll just do a bit of a recap on, firstly, let's start with the responsibility statement. So if you would like to unmute and join me in saying the responsibility statement, let's start off like that this week. I am responsible
when
anyone, anywhere, reaches out for help. I want to always be there, and for that I'm responsible.
I am responsible.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. And I'm not going to sort of recap everything each week, but just this week I will go to, this tech stuff still getting to me a bit. All right, so we're looking at, I'll just quickly for a couple of minutes recap on the 3 legacies, AA's 3 legacies. And again, there's some of you here who probably know, just as much as me or more than me about the traditions, and some of you might be here for the first time. And I learn something new each week still. And so the AA's 3 legacies, we recover. So the foundation, we've got the circle triangle there in the picture. Recovery being the foundation, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's how I recover. And the promise of step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. Now we go around in a clockwise fashion. So then the next, the thing that follows next is the traditions, unity. And that's our second legacy, how AA groups recover. And today we're on Tradition 2, which specifically talks about groups. And I'm really, really excited about Tradition 2 here today. And then service, recovery, unity, service, how AA World Service recovers. So the GSO, management of the grapevine, and so on. And last week we also talked about synonyms of what legacy means: an inheritance, a heritage, a gift, an endowment. So this has been passed down through the generations from Bill and Bob and the pioneers and those earlier members to me. What do I do with this heritage, with this inheritance? I have a responsibility to play my part in keeping AA united, for the message of the 12 steps out of the big book not to be distorted, but to be handed down as far as possible in mint condition to those who have yet to receive this message or to recover. Okay, and so having said all that, last week Tradition 1 was unity, common welfare. I'm just one small part of a great whole. I'm just a little grain of sand on the beach. I'm not important, but our unity is we stick together or we die alone. And so Tradition 2, group conscience, trusted servants. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Groups, what is a group conscience? Leadership, leaders in AA, what they are, how it works. But even if you forget all of the traditions, or you think, nah, it's too much, I can't take this tradition stuff, just remember Tradition 1, unity. That's ultimately number 1, most important. And so there's just another little listing of what all the traditions are about. So today we're looking at leadership in AA. That is one aspect of it. As I said, it's the groups, the group conscience, and so on. And just this bookends overview that we looked at last week. I'll just quickly recap on that. So why it works, unity, and how it works, anonymity being the foundation. Traditions 2, 3, 4, and 5 talk about the AA group, and 6, 7, and 8 talk about money, and 9, 10, and 11 talk about antis, or what not to do, what we shouldn't be doing. And so I'll continue on. And so Tradition 2 states, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. they do not govern. And then the long form, we look at the long form as well. Interestingly, the long form of tradition 2 is shorter than the short form. Don't you love that? That's so alcoholic. So tradition 2, the long form, is for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. So there was probably just some refinement in there when they came to the short form and realised, hey, they need to talk about the group leadership and authority and so on. Let's have a look on to the next one. So in our book, AA Comes of Age, Bill W. says, our traditions are a guide to better ways of working and living, and they are also an antidote for our various maladies. The 12 traditions are to group survival and harmony what AA's 12 steps are to each member's sobriety and peace of mind. But the 12 traditions also point straight at many of our individual defects. By implication, they ask each of us to lay aside pride and resentment. They ask for personal as well as group sacrifice. And so we talked about that last week, that the traditions actually contain key elements essential for my ego deflation. So if I'm in the steps, working the steps, that's wonderful. Staying sober, fantastic. But actually, if I'm not in the traditions, learning about the traditions, practicing the traditions, applying the principles of the traditions in my life, I'm potentially missing out on a large chunk of ego deflation and growth that I desperately need. So, and also when we talk about in step 12, tried to practice these principles in all our affairs, in the Big Book study, we looked at, well, what are these principles? Where are they? Where's this third part of step 12? Step 12 being a third 3-part step. And so we did look at those principles in those chapters to wives, the family afterward, and to employers. But here, Bill is telling us another way of looking at practicing these principles in all our affairs and talking about the traditions. So I'll read on from AA Comes of Age. The traditions guarantee the equality of all members. I love that. No, the newcomer is not the most important person in the room because we are all equally. The common welfare comes first. And as we read last week in the long form of tradition 1, the common welfare comes first, but personal, the individual comes a very close second. So often we hear in meetings, the newcomer's the most important person in the room. That's directly out of NA literature. It's not in AA literature. And I wonder, and this is just my own personal little musings, this idea, because the alcoholic, me as an alcoholic full of pride and ego, I want to be important. Hey, look at me, listen to me, look at me, look at me. And I remember when I was new in sobriety, of course, I was the golden child. Everyone loved me and welcomed me and took an interest in me and wanted to help me. And all of a sudden, there was newer members and everyone sort of flocked around the newer members. And I felt like I was pushed aside a little bit. I don't know, does this idea that the newcomer is most important, does that in any way contribute to someone's relapse? I don't know. That just came to me. So the equality of all members, really important, because if we have a room full of newcomers, where would I have been without the older sober members? We need the newcomers, the mid-timers, the old-timers, all just as equally. Everyone's got their beautiful higher power of their own and their own spiritual walk that we can all benefit from. So the traditions show how we may best relate ourselves to each other and to the world outside. For some of us, the traditions have been in reality an extension of the 12 steps. In trying to understand the last part of the 12 step, practice these principles in all our affairs, I know I found it helpful to use the 12 traditions as a guideline. Here are some of the ways each tradition directed me personally. Tradition 1. It didn't take long for me to realise that without other AA members, my group, and AA as a whole, I would probably find it difficult to stay sober. Even though I was sometimes in hearty disagreement, I learned that I must be willing to yield, first to my sponsor, then to our group conscience, finally to the principles of AA as a whole. I tried to learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. And tradition 2, as I kept coming back, I began to believe that the higher power was speaking through the members of my home group. It was the beginning of faith in the group conscience, belief that it might represent God's will for me today. The concept of AA leaders who are but trusted servants calmed my rebellious nature and guided me toward trust in other people. And can anyone see those last couple of words? I've got Zoom controls in the way. No.
Peace of mind.
And peace of mind. Guided me toward trust in other people and peace of mind. How beautiful is that? And so we looked last week, as I said, we're looking at various pieces of literature. Language of the Heart. Your homework is to read from the 12 and 12. And the illustrated pamphlet, the P43. If you can get a hard copy of that, fantastic. I highly recommend it for yourself, for your own learning and understanding, and also for sharing with newcomers. It really illustrates these traditions in a just like, I like pictures and diagrams and things, and this really, so I've got tradition 2 up here. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. So what I want to say about the home group as well, in early sobriety, I understood my home group as my immediate family in AA. This is my immediate family. These are the people that are going to know me because I'm there every week. They are there every week. We know each other, we grow together, we learn together, we serve together. And the rest of AA was like the wider relatives, friends and acquaintances of my life. So the home group for me, many of you would have probably heard me say, is part of my starter pack in AA. A big book, a sponsor, a home group. And many times a home group membership has been my absolute minimum. That's absolutely kept me in the rooms of AA. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have that commitment and responsibility in my home group. And there's actually a book in Alcoholics Anonymous conference approved literature called The Home Group, The Heartbeat of AA. And I recommend that to anyone. So let's have a look. Here's this little guy. Now that I've been elected secretary, I'll show this group some real leadership. And you can see his size. He thinks he's bigger than everyone, so his pride and ego has got hold of him. And you can, anyway, there's only one way to do it, and I'll tell you what it is. And he's gotten even bigger. Wow. Furthermore, we'll take our money and establish a fund. I'll manage it. And here's the group conscience. Boy, and the hand is pushing him down. Come on, get down to right size. And here he is. He's joined the group. He's back right-sized, equal right-sized with everyone else. And he says, thank you. Now shall we talk about working the program? So he's come back to his senses. He's been restored to sanity, and he's equal with everyone. So members of AA may be chosen to serve in many ways. So as group secretary, intergroup representative, general service representative. I'm currently general or GSR. I'm currently GSR for my home group, and it's just wonderful to be of service in my home group. Conference delegates, and it said, but they must always remember that they serve for the good of all without authority over any. So I don't have authority over anyone, and that's a beautiful thing, and nobody has authority over me either, but the group conscience as a collective, yes, that has the authority. And you can see this picture in the corner here. Here's this servant. Maybe she was a greeter or the secretary, I don't know, but you can see the love hearts, and she's watching people go in through the door, and that beautiful privilege of serving in AA and fulfilling the requirements of that responsibility statement. So let's just have a read of this pamphlet. AA is both a democracy and, in Bill's words, a benign anarchy. A group elects its own officers who have no power to order anybody to do anything. In most groups, most of the slate rotates out of office at the end of 6 months, and new officers are elected. If a group wants to be a part of the whole AA service structure, it elects a group service representative, GSR, with a 2-year term. Now, for me personally, I try not to talk about myself too much in this traditions workshop, but every now and then I just share a bit of my experience with you. And I think that's what brings these things to life in AA as well. This isn't an intellectual exercise or an academic thing. It's just information and knowledge. And I hear some people say, oh, knowledge won't get you sober. But I need to know and understand and practice the principles. And for me personally, I need to go to the literature. I need to find out what has been handed down to me as instructions. And the cover page, which I was going to look at, the cover page of this illustrated pamphlet, we looked at it last week. The principles are a distillation, so the essence, or they sorted the wheat from the chaff, or found the gold amongst all the collective experience of those early members. So they found out a lot of things the hard way. We don't have to do that. We don't have to stumble around anymore. This has been set down for us. And so continuing on in that illustrated pamphlet, the GSR elect area committee members and then join them in electing a delegate from their area to the annual General Service Conference. The conference is about the closest approximation of a government that AA has. It produces opinions on important matters of policy. It approves the choice of some trustee nominees for the General Service Board and directly elects others. But neither the conference nor the board can give orders to any group or member. See if I can make that a bit bigger. All right. Then who's in charge around here? AA is a spiritual movement, and so the ultimate authority is the spiritual concept of the group conscience. Its voice is heard when a well-informed group gathers to arrive at a decision. The result rests on more than arithmetic, a yes and no count. Minority ideas get thoughtful attention. What about that annoying character who's always sure she's right? If she's wrong, then she will, if she remembers the first tradition as well as the second, go along with the decision of the group conscience. Does this notion seem too cloudy? Let's think back to our first meetings. The presence we newcomers felt in those rooms was the same as the group conscience, and it was real, welcoming us in, setting up no barriers of rules. And so let's go back to the presentation. Hang on, where am I? That one, I think. So that was the illustrated pamphlet showing us that the group conscience keeps me right-sized, and through the principle of rotation, I don't sit in one position too long, and that also we come back to that idea again in principles above personalities. And so this is the reading on on tradition 2 from Language of the Heart. Sooner or later, every AA comes to depend upon a power greater than himself. He finds that the God of his understanding is not only a source of strength, but also a source of positive direction. Realizing that some fraction of that infinite resource is now available, his life takes on an entirely different complexion. He experiences a new inner security together with such a sense of destiny and purpose as he has never known before. That's an amazing promise right there. As each day passes, our AA reviews his mistakes and vicissitudes. So vicissitudes is a change of circumstances that is not welcome or is unpleasant, or an alteration between opposing or contrasting conditions. So the change of the seasons, for example, we might label things that are good or bad, things that we want to happen, things that we don't want to happen. And that's the ever-changing nature of life and the spiritual walk as well. He learns from daily experience what his remaining character defects are and becomes ever more willing that they be removed. In this fashion, he improves his conscious contact with God. Every AA group follows this same cycle of development. We are coming to realize that each group, as well as each individual, is a special entity, not quite like any other. And we'll look at that more in Tradition 4. Each group is autonomous, except in matters affecting AA or other groups as a whole. So what I'm seeing more and more in the traditions is there's so much freedom in Alcoholics Anonymous to do as we please. But the paradox is, hang on a minute, I have to strictly adhere to spiritual principles or I sign my own death warrant. So it's all there for us. Total freedom, but absolute adherence as well to disciplined way of living. We believe that every AA group has a conscience. It is the collective conscience of its own membership. Daily experiences informs and instructs this conscience. The group begins to recognize its own defects of character, and one by one these are removed or lessened. As this process continues, the group becomes better able to receive right direction for its own affairs. Trial and error produces group conscience. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn by doing. The idea that I've got to be around for a long time and I have to know lots of stuff before I can do anything, I think that's an old idea that needs to be discarded. This is the beauty of it. When we go out into the world, if we're doing a career or learning a new trade or something, we have to learn lots and lots of theory, maybe for 4 years before we get at the real thing. But in AA, it's better to just throw ourselves into action, learning the theory, if you like, as we go along. So trial and error produces group experience. Just as I, as an individual, learn through my mistakes, learn through trial and error, so does the group collectively. A united group, that is, which is following the traditions, which is a wonderful thing. When a customary way of doing things is definitely proved to be best, then the custom forms into AA traditions. The greater power is then working through a clear group conscience. We humbly hope and believe that our growing AA tradition will prove to be the will of God for us. So this was written in the early days of the traditions. The traditions, I believe, came about 15 years after the big book was written. Many people are coming to think that Alcoholics Anonymous is, to some extent, a new form of human society. In our discussion of the first tradition, it was emphasised that we have in AA no coercive human authority, because each AA of necessity has a sensitive and responsive conscience, and because alcohol will discipline him severely if he backslides. We are finding we have little need for man-made rules or regulations. Despite the fact that we do veer off at times on tangents, we are becoming more able to depend absolutely on the long-term stability of the AA group itself. With respect to its own affairs, the collective conscience of the group will, given time, almost surely demonstrate its perfect dependability. The group conscience will, in the end, prove a far more infallible guide for group affairs than the decision of any individual member, however good or wise he may be. And as an older sober member, I have to say that gives me comfort that I'm not responsible as an individual, that we together as a collective at my home group, we make decisions together. It's a beautiful thing to be part of something, not apart from, not alone and separate and different, feeling like I don't fit in, feeling like I don't belong. So that is one of the benefits of home group memberships that I have found. This is a striking and almost unbelievable fact about Alcoholics Anonymous. Hence, we can safely dispense with those exhortations and punishments seemingly so necessary to other societies. And we need not depend over much on inspired leaders, because we've got that collective group conscience, because our active leadership of service can be truly rotating. We enjoy a kind of democracy rarely possible elsewhere. In this respect, we may be to a large degree unique. Therefore, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are certain that there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. And so what is an informed group conscience? Let's have a look at that. I had some difficulties with my tech stuff last week. So this week I thought I'd try and do it a little bit differently. So these are just a couple of little quotes I found. This is actually in As Bill Sees It, page 319 from As Bill Sees It. Two authorities. Many people wonder how AA can function under a seeming anarchy. So we've learned there that, no one can be told what to do. No one governs over us. it seems like an anarchy. No one gets told what to do. How does this work? Other societies have to have law and force and sanction and punishment administered by authorized people. Happily for us, we had found that we need no human authorities, which are far more effective. One is benign, the other malign. So we've got one malign authority and one benign. So one good and one bad in a way, or one positive, one destructive. There is God, our Father, who very simply says, I'm waiting for you to do my will. The other authority is named John Barleycorn, and he says, you'd better do God's will or I will kill you. So there's actually a death threat in there. And then finally, the AA traditions are neither rules, regulations, nor laws. We obey them willingly because we want to. Perhaps the secret of their power lies in the fact that these life-giving communications spring out of living experience and are rooted in love. And so we're talking about leadership, as I said. Let's see again in As Bill Sees It, what it says about leadership. I think I might leave that one. I feel like I'm just reading and reading and reading a lot. So that's a really good one. I might just put that in the group chat if someone wants to catch up with that later. But that is page 224 in As Bill Sees It. And also this one, I really wanted to read this, but again, it looks like quite a long one because the group conscience, sometimes people in AA groups, they do, like that other reading mentioned, simple arithmetic. Okay, we're going to have a yes and no vote. 4 people vote yes, 2 people vote no. There we go, the motion is passed. It doesn't work like that in AA. There needs to be an informed group conscience because we need to allow time and space for the voice of God to work through the group conscience. So let's just see what this, and this is from the pamphlet called The Home Group, so just more AA literature. God cannot express himself in an undisciplined group conscience. We must ensure that a group conscience meeting is orderly, disciplined, and therefore attractive. This is the mark of a strong group or service committee which is guided by the steps, traditions, and 12 concepts for world service. Since we cannot guarantee that everyone at the table has taken the steps, had a spiritual awakening, or had a great day, we respectfully ask that those present be on their best behaviour, a principle which will make AA attractive to all. And I have seen some people that from somewhere seem to have gotten the idea that a group conscience is a free-for-all fisticuffs, get the gloves off, and it was quite eye-opening and very unattractive. And so that's not what it's about at all. It's just an opportunity for us to practice these spiritual principles. So it gives clear guidance here on how to run a healthy group conscience meeting and what it should look like. We speak only, so for a manageable meeting, it's preferable that we speak only through the chair. We wait our turn to speak. We do not speak over anyone. We speak only on the agenda item and observe the direction of the chairperson at all times. We listen to, are considerate of, and respect the views of others. We must have time to pray, meditate, consult the AA literature, and discuss matters with other members and our sponsors before we make decisions. That is, we must not, wherever possible, be rushed into making decisions. Hasten slowly. So at my group conscience recently, there was something I wanted to suggest to the group conscience. I can't even remember what it is today. Obviously, I don't know if it was that important. And the group immediately said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's vote on that. And I said to them, hang on, why don't we go away? Everyone go and have a think about it, have a talk about it, you know, meditate on it a bit, and let's vote on it at the next group conscience. So according to our traditions and literature, a new topic for voting on at the group conscience shouldn't really be getting voted on in the same group conscience where it has been presented. Really needs to be presented on that initial meeting and then voted on at the following one. Now, sorry, there was just something at the end there. I don't know if I can get it onto the screen. Okay, and that the opinion of the minority where expressed is heard and considered carefully in all deliberations. So even if there's a vote of 6-1, let's hear what that one person has to say. What a beautiful thing, because I don't know everything, and I'm probably going to learn something from seeing and hearing a different point of view than what I think and what I want. And so this is taken from the AA pamphlet, the AA group, where it all begins, page 26 to 27. What is an informed group conscience? The group conscience is the collective conscience of the group membership and thus represents substantial unanimity or 2/3 on an issue before definitive action is taken. That is achieved by the group members through the sharing or full information, individual points of view, and the practice of AA principles. To be fully informed requires a willingness to listen to minority opinions with an open mind. On sensitive issues, the group works slowly, discouraging formal motions until a clear sense of its collective view emerges. So if anyone here isn't a member of a home group, I highly recommend you find a healthy, functioning home group, and or even just if you hear of a group that you're attending announcing they're having a group conscience meeting, go along as an observer. See how the group conscience is functioning in that meeting. And if you like it, if you think it's an orderly, good, solid group conscience, then yeah, make that your home group. If you think it's, I don't know, have a look. Start doing some investigations and checking these things out. Placing principles before personalities. So who cares if I like or don't like someone, or think I like them or don't think I like them? It doesn't matter. The membership is wary of dominant opinions. Its voice is heard when a well-informed group arrives at a decision. The result rests on more than a yes or no count, precisely because it is the spiritual expression of the group conscience. The term informed group conscience implies that pertinent information has been studied and all views have been heard before the group votes. Finally, let's be kind to each other. So that, for me, super, super important stuff. What is a group, an informed group conscience? And just another little quote there. By helping to ensure the sobriety of others to come, we ensure our own sobriety today. So my job is to be present at my home group meeting every week as far as is possible. In case there's a newcomer there, I need to be there to welcome that newcomer. But it's going to save my sobriety as well. So that is our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. There's group conscience. I think that's the one. So where are we at here? I think now. Okay, so we're going to hand the floor over to Nancy. I'm sure you've had enough of hearing me. So the other homework that we've set, and each week a different group member is going to share. So we're using the book Daily Reflections. And so Nancy, come on in, please, and let us know which reading you've chosen from the Daily Reflections.
Okay, so I chose the one on page 308. It was, excuse me, the last of the second tradition readings. So do I have like 5 minutes? Is that what I got? Or
Yes,
am I just
that'd be
reading
great.
this and then we're going to discuss it? So I
No,
have
no,
some things to say, but I have an opinion about everything. But I'm willing to
I
keep
love
my
it.
mouth shut.
Please look, five minutes, give or take. Go for it. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, so page 308, October 26th. The ultimate authority. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. When I'm chosen to carry some small responsibility for my fellows, I ask that God grant me the patience, open-mindedness, and willingness to listen to those I would lead. I must remind myself that I am the trusted servant of others, not their governor, teacher, or instructor. God guides my words and my actions, and my responsibility is to heed his suggestions. Trust is my watchword. I trust others who lead. In the fellowship of AA, I entrust God with the ultimate authority of running the show. And the reason that I picked this one is because I just really wanted to quickly kind of run you through my experience with Tradition 2 in the beginning, because that little illustrated pamphlet, I was that guy. I was sort of that oversized guy that had to be pushed back down. And I think that's how the traditions are actually introduced to us, right? Like, I think that's how we get the steps. It has to be personal experience, right? We're not particularly good at learning things because somebody else tells us about it. We read it in a book. We really have to have that sort of crushing mistake and figure out how the traditions really work. And so, a lot of the stuff that Tuija went through speaks so clearly to what's important about this step, this tradition. This is where rotation of leadership, this is the foundation of it. This is where it comes. And actually the wisdom of the group in general, this is it. Everything it's said in Tradition 2 about deciding slowly, because that allows God's will to come in. The faster a decision is made, the less you can have outside opinions come in. And, when I came in here, I knew everything. The longer I've been around, the less I know, because I now understand that I need to let people interfere with my thinking. And that's what rotation of leadership does. It lets people interfere with my thinking. So, and that's how I was taught, right? That rotation of leadership is like a double-edged sword, right? Because if I really like a job, I only get it for 6 months. But if somebody gets elected and they're really bad at it, we only have to put up with them for 6 months. So it's a double-edged sword. And, we don't know when God's will is for someone to learn a profound lesson from doing a job that they're really bad at, or even doing a job that they're really good at and then having to let go of it, which is kind of what happened to me. I actually don't know if I was good at it or not. I was the coffee maker. I was brand new sober, like 6 months or so. I got to be the coffee maker in this meeting. And people would come up to me and say what a great coffee maker I was. And so I decided that I was the greatest coffee maker ever, and that I was going to have that job forever, because damn it, you people weren't going to stay sober if I didn't make the best coffee in the world. Yeah. And then the 6 months came around, rotation of leadership, and I would not give the job up. I wouldn't surrender it. Yeah. And I actually got kind of mad that they wanted me to step down. Like, what? You told me I was the best coffee maker ever. And, Tuija, you kind of alluded to that when you said in the beginning how newcomers get so much attention, right? And I did. I got so much attention, and I didn't really want to give it up. I just wanted to keep getting that attention. But the truth is, rotation of leadership, it is part of my growth in AA to step aside and let someone else get all that attention, right? But I did it, right? So I actually did that job for 18 months, because every 6 months I just refused to step down. Yeah. And finally, an elder statesman had to take me inside and say, rotation of leadership, you got to go. Yeah. I mean, they almost said it to me like that. And I needed to clear the way for someone who needed it more than I did, right? And I didn't want to fold chairs. I didn't want to pick up cigarette butts. I had this really cool job and I was great at it. So why am I going to do those lesser jobs, right? But we're all equals, right? That was mentioned in the reading as well. We are all equals, and rotation of leadership keeps us equal. And just a couple of other things I just wanted to say was that minority opinion is really important. So I did a lot of service at the district level where we did a lot of that. We really adhered to this minority opinion thing. And I watched the group vote, and then there was a minority opinion, and then the chair would ask if anybody wanted to change their vote. And if someone wanted to change their vote, we took a whole nother vote. And sometimes the vote didn't change, but sometimes it did. And so moving slowly is not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. And I learned that working in service in AA, that God's will sometimes comes through slowly, and we have to leave room for God's will to express itself in the group conscience. And that can only happen when we move slowly. And everything we do is about opening, putting a crack in the wall so that the light of God's will could come through. And that's what, and then I'll shut up after this because but the light of God's will comes in through rotation of leadership as well, right? Because, so I had a friend where I got sober. He ended up going to New York and working at GSO for a while. And he told us that the staff there are all paid and they work there for years and years and years. But every 3 years or every 5 years, I can't remember, they are required to change jobs. They cannot stay in the same job forever. If they want to keep working at GSO, they got to pick a whole nother job, because rotation of leadership is so important that even the paid staff at GSO is not allowed to keep the same job that they started with. So, and that's how like new perspective comes in, and that's how God's will slowly evolves, right? It might not be in the first election or the second or the third, but it eventually comes out. And I have watched that happen. And I've had a lot of personal experience with this in my own life. And so just one more thing, because these things it's hard for me to want to keep doing the traditions unless I see how they apply in my personal life. And so I have used that sense of I am open to all points of view in my employment, in my job. And I have been willing to pass on knowledge and information that other people sort of held close to the chest because they were afraid of getting passed over for, promotions and stuff. I just used tradition too. And I actually had people coming to me and saying, oh, you're more of an authority. And I was like, no, I'm just willing to share my knowledge because I trust God, and I am not afraid to pass on information because God's will is going to happen, right? If I get the promotion, I'm going to get it. If I don't, I'm not. It's all God's will. And then the last thing, and this is it really forced me to refine my experience of my higher power, because I cannot trust God's will coming through the group conscience if I don't trust God. So I had to get an experience of God that I could trust in order to trust the will of God coming through the group conscience. It's okay. I'll shut up now. Probably talk too much. Thanks.
Not at all. Thank you so much, Nancy. Wonderful. And so next week, Mary volunteered to choose a reading out of Daily Reflections and do a bit of a share on Tradition 3 for us next week. So thank you, Nancy, for stepping up to the plate first up, and Mary for volunteering for next week. And I'm so glad that you talked about rotation of leadership. I'd made some notes here and just forgot about it. But I think about, you know how birds fly in a V formation, yeah? And you've got the one bird, the leader, flying at the front, and he knows where everyone's going, and they're all going in the same direction. They're traveling together. But that bird at the front, once he's tired and he needs a break, a rest, he goes to the back, and someone else takes that position at the front of the flock, leading the flock. And I think of that, how it works in AA, that it just works. It's just everything you said there, Nancy, that a new person brings a new perspective into the role. Everyone gets an opportunity to serve and to be part of. And AA is not a spectator sport. If I want the whole kit and caboodle, the whole thing, the whole deal, I will step up into a position of service and do my time. And yeah, exactly what you said. I really love what you shared. Thank you, Nancy. That if I don't like it, great. It's only 6 months. If I like it, then it's too bad. So can you all see that screen share there? This is my last one, and then I'll open the floor for questions, comments, sharing until past. So then the other thing that we look at here is the traditions checklist, which I always thought was for the group, but it's actually for me as an individual to take my inventory as a group member. I'll just see if I can get that a bit clearer. I don't know what it looks like for you. There it is. So 1, do I criticise or do I trust and support my group officers, AA committees and office workers, newcomers, old-timers? So do I think, oh, he's too new in sobriety. Why is he doing that? Or she's too old. Why is she doing that? She's not going to know what to do. Or am I trusting in God? God's in charge here. The group conscience has elected this person for that role. Am I absolutely trustworthy, even in secret, with AA 12-step jobs or other AA responsibilities? So, yeah, practicing these principles in all my affairs. Do I look for credit in my AA jobs or praise for my AA ideas? Do I often feel the need to save face in group discussions, or can I yield in good spirit to the group conscience and work along with it? Wonderful ego deflation right there. That's fantastic, that stuff. Although I have been sober a few years, am I still willing to serve my turn with AA chores? And one of my favourite jobs recently at my home group, I used to get there early just because I went straight from work, and I thought rather than going somewhere and spending money or killing time, I'll just go there early. I was by myself, alone in this quiet hall, just putting the chairs out, and it was just beautiful. It's just like, I'm here, quiet time, alone with God. I'll be ready, once the other group members start coming along. And I just really enjoyed it. And it was work, and it was service and work that no one else really knew I was doing or could see me doing. I'm telling you about it now. But anyway, do I complain about the decisions that my group makes, even though I do not attend the business meetings where these decisions are made? Obviously, that goes without saying. If I'm not part of it, then what right do I have to complain or pass judgment? Okay, so with that, I've lost the screen. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, comments, shares about Tradition 2, please put your hand up, and would love to hear from you. Balkia, please come in. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Balkia. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for all the readings and the literature. So much AA literature, and I've just begun, I've just still looking in the big book, and just got the 12 and 12, so thank you. I had a home group, but it doesn't feel like a home group anymore, and I did service there. I felt it wasn't a healthy group functioning. So I transferred my service back to the group, and I'm hoping I can find another home group. But what I do find, I have to think about my work. I'm working as a nurse in the elderly care, but I work in a flex situation that I do the shifts there's not enough people on the floor, so I have different locations all the time. And when I was still drinking, I was against everything. I knew everything better, and it's changed me now. It's still a daily thing to do, but when I come in, I'm there to help. And sometimes I need to take a leadership position. It's asked of me then, and sometimes I'm just there to give a couple of hands. So it's so much nicer to live this way, and I'm not in control. It's every day. It's a joy, and I can adapt, and we'll see how it goes. I know what to do most of the time. So yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. Wonderful to have you along. Hi, Janice. Welcome.
Hi, Tuija. Thank you very much for this. It's beautiful. I have all these books, Matt. I like a spreadsheet. I really need to read things twice, as you know, to take it in. Did you say the page you had on your screen for the home group? Because did you say the page?
Which one was that?
Can you see the home group, Heartbeat of AA?
Oh no, I don't actually have. I don't know if I've got that book. I used to have it, but I haven't been using it in this. It's a great fine book. It's called The Home Group, Heartbeat of AA. So that might be a nice one to read, just especially for newer members, to hear the experience, strength and hope of people about their experiences with their home group and what it means to be part of a home group.
It's just that I'm looking at all these books and I don't know what page you're on, you know.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry, I might not have been clear. So Language of the Heart, that was page 77, and different editions have different page numbers as well.
Yeah.
But this was in the section Part 1, 1944 to 1950, where all the traditions are in Language of the Heart. And so it's probably a little bit selfish of me because I've read the traditions in the 12 and 12 a few times, and I thought for something different we'd look at Language of the Heart.
That's good.
And,
Yeah, it's just to read after. Yeah, again.
Ah, yes. Yeah, you've got Language of the Heart, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a wonderful book. There's so much gold in there.
Got
It is
this
just so
one.
good.
I like the comic one.
Yes, the illustrated pamphlet. That is just brilliant. Brilliant.
And the Alcoholics Anonymous Comes of Age. Did you say the
Yes.
page in that as well? I'm sorry.
I didn't actually. What I'll do is I'll get the page number of AA Comes of Age.
I'm getting lost.
Yeah, I didn't have the page number for that because that was a reading that Kelowna actually sent me. She used to do a tradition study, which was brilliant.
Okay.
And so I'll find out the page number and I'll let you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you so much. Hi, Rach. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rach. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. Thank you. I just want to apologise for being late and having my camera off at the start of the meeting. I had to rush here and I just needed to eat. Holtz is not fun. I just wanted to show some gratitude really for you guys doing this about the traditions. I can't imagine what that would be like because this is a new thing for me to, I'm over 2 years sober and I'm just starting to delve into the traditions now. But when I hear you and Nancy, thanks so much for sharing that. And it really does help when you bring it to life with your own experience around the traditions, because I still can't, I guess I haven't practiced it yet. The steps I've built into like with meetings and with my own experience, I can connect that to my life and my journey, but the traditions don't feel yet like I haven't thought, how am I going to apply the traditions to my life? So when you guys are doing your thing and sharing, please never apologize for over talking, because like me personally, I find it really, really helpful when you really go into it and explain it. And I just found it, I missed last week, unfortunately, I couldn't be here, but Tuija, when you were talking about, this being a legacy, and that it's, passing down something that's, in mint condition. And it was taught to me, and I don't quite know yet, because I'm only delving into the traditions, but about starting a meeting on time and keeping meetings like really consistent, and really like run like an AA meeting, just because. And actually, I've been at meetings where, the host sort of doesn't start at the right, on time, and things are a little bit, and I feel a bit unsafe in that environment. I much prefer it when it's like the readings are, because the structure is the same. And it's just really interesting to hear a lot about the home group, because mine has sort of shifted slightly. So I'm going to really revisit that. And just what you said, I found that really interesting about the newcomers not being the most important, because I've said that. I've heard that, I've felt that, and I've said it, you are the most important people in the room. And that made me feel very welcome at the beginning. But actually, humility is something that it's going to take me a whole lifetime to get my head around that one. But, that we're all equal. So yeah, just loads of food for thought. I'm really, really grateful. And I feel like I just need to do a lot of study into it. But, try to be grateful for where I'm at, and slowly but surely, progress, not perfection. So thank you, Tuija, and thank you, Nancy, and all of you. Great to see you.
Thank you so much, Rach. And Michelle, great to see you. Welcome. Are you able to unmute?
I think that's me now, yes. Thank you, Tuija. It's Michelle, I'm an alcoholic. And thank you so much for what knowledge you delivered there. There was a lot. I wasn't able to take it all in, but I'll go back and reread because I know nothing about the traditions. I'm new to the traditions. So, and the recording's amazing that you do here, that I can go back again then, and get what I missed out. I'm like somebody else. It takes me 2 or 3 times to take all that sort of information in, but that's okay. But thank you so much. And you had a lot to read there without a break. And I love Nancy's take on it as well. Now I was thinking, oh my God. But my experience with group, I just actually joined a group 2 years ago. This is going to sound like a moan. I suppose it is a moan. But I'm from a very small village, and AA has been here all of my life or whatever. But for me, when I joined the group, I could see, I didn't point out what I seen as the mistakes, but I took them on board, and all I could see was what that group done was, we were more concerned, all they done was get the money for the tea and coffee and biscuits, send the money off to area, and no literature. No literature at all, and if whatever was there would have been minimal. So, and then I went to a GSR with my friend who is part of GSR, and I was reading the report and saying that there was so much money. We were actually one of the most amounts of money within the area of County Tyrone or whatever, and yet they wouldn't buy literature. So me and her spoke about it together, and she brought it up then at the meeting. And we tried to, it is needed. If it's not there, what have you got to give anybody coming in the door? And it's so important to have the minimum, like your big book and the 12 by 12. So I've sort of helped inject a bit of what I felt was the right thing to do without stepping on anybody's toes. But I just thought it was a disgrace, actually, to be the truth to be told, that, that there's people sitting there on that group for years and years and years, the same people doing nothing. And it wasn't until I joined your program, actually, Tuija, and I seen what you do for AA by that big book study. And for anybody coming in new, do it. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to do it again. And I've been so long about, and it was Wim and yourself that give me my knowledge on AA, because I was just going to my meetings, trudging along, going to meetings, blah, 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 not doing anything until I seen the importance of what Wim and yourself brought. If you're not doing that, and what happened to me, I kept lifting a drink again, because I was going to meetings, but I wasn't getting well. And I wasn't getting well because I didn't know. And I didn't know that I didn't have the knowledge, so it's so important. And I am more than grateful to the likes of you and the people, the good, strong women within AA that has educated me. Maybe it was there and I didn't see it, but there certainly wasn't anybody there posting it to me. Do this, do that. Just come back, go to meetings, come back. And that's what happened. And anyway, but my knowledge in AA now has improved, as I say, and thank you to you again and Mum. And I am slow with the traditions because I know absolutely nothing about them, but that's okay. I'll get there. And thank you so much. But I done something last night at a meeting too, and there was no patience or tolerance. And this, the last guy to share, 10 past 10, he was still talking about antidepressants. And I was going, fuck, somebody shut him up. Then I go, where's your patience here, Michelle? Where's your patience? Where's God? I wanted to go over there and gag him. And I just walked out of the meeting because I thought, I can't listen. If it had been recovery and I had been so ill or something, but it wasn't. And I suffer from bipolar, and I get people talking about that. But don't go on to medication and antidepressants and stuff like that. And then I came away feeling guilty, thought you should not have done that. You should not have left the meeting, but I did. So anyway, that's my wee rant over, and thank you so much again for everything, everybody.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And that's what I love about AA. It's never too early and it's never too late to get stuck into the big book, the traditions, everything. My experience has been the more I surrender, the more I throw myself into it, the more free I am. And freedom, that's the thing I love. And I remember hosting in WIM I got this idea, I suppose, an intuition or something. I'm going to do the traditions in WIM. Of course, the pride and the ego, because, you know, one of my sort of flippant sayings is the quickest way to empty an AA meeting is start talking about the traditions or turn it into a traditions meeting. So I'm hosting on WIM, and of course, my pride and my ego wants to see the numbers go up. I want my hour to be popular in WIM, and I'm doing the traditions and I see the numbers dropping. And it's like, that's fine. But there were a couple of women who really were ready for it, wanted it, and I didn't have a regular time slot. I think I was a little bit all over the place wherever I could get hosting slots in between work and other commitments. And they were there each week. There was a couple of women that I think they managed to be there each 12 weeks. I went in the 12 and 12, and we just read each tradition in the 12 and 12. So that's a great way. I find a great way to learn something is just to start it, talk about it, and invite other people to share about it as well. And there was actually a social justice thing that I realized, I won't go into it, but there was something happening in the community. I thought, I don't know anything about that. So I started a meetup group for this thing, and a bunch of people joined that group, and they taught me and educated me. And I made a few good friends out of it as well. So it's amazing how it works. Welcome, Wendy. Great to see you.
Tuija, sorry, can I say one thing? There's a girl on from Northern Ireland, Kathy, is it? But anyway, she'll hear me. If she can get my number from the WhatsApp group if she wants to contact. She's just come in this morning for the first time on this.
I think it might be Stacey. Yeah, I'll pass your number on to Stacey. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Wendy.
Hey, hi, welcome, Stacey, and the people who are new, and I'm glad to be back. I really found this to be like what somebody mentioned, an assurance of safety, peace, and calm in our society. It's a beautiful society to be part of, and you know, it's not like every day I think about the traditions until things go sideways. And then we have like sort of a service shit show going on. We're like, oh wow, but then there's tradition too, you know, like we're all equals. We're not punishing anybody in any way, shape, or form. It's good, you know. We pray about it. That's when I pull out the traditions and kind of like dust them off mentally and say, okay. And then they come up in our discussions, you know, when people want to talk about things that are, you know, they don't understand, they can't wrap their brains around. Like, I'm trying to get sober here, and like this guy's over here yelling at the other guy. Like, how do I get sober here? You know, and it just works out. It just does, and I believe it's because of God being the authority. You know, the ultimate authority. It can't go wrong as long as that's the case. That's all I got. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wendy. And hi, Stacey. Come on in.
Hey, I was just sending a message. Can you see me? I'm upside down. And I was just replying to Michelle for asking for my number. I was thinking of the same thing. I'm Stacey, I'm an alcoholic, and thank you. I heard you yesterday sharing on Women, reached out, you know, for the link to this meeting. I haven't done the traditions, I've done the steps, and it keeps coming up. The thing about tradition keeps coming up. I've listened to someone online, do you know, the AA recordings online, and just the traditions keep coming up. So I'm 2 years sober. I've recently got into a relationship, and so selfishly somebody said that the traditions are good in relationships, but like even hearing Nancy saying about the 3-year turnaround, I'm very unsettled in my job. This is all about me, and I'm being very selfish. I don't have a home, and what I'm saying is I would love to change my job, and that makes sense to me, you know, every 3 years or try and move to a different department or something. So I'm hoping that, you know, like AA, this sounds really bad. You know, I used to feel guilty about using AA for the problems that were going on, but I think that's the way the program's designed. So I want to do the traditions because I want more. You know, I've seen how much sobriety and the steps has helped me. And, you know, today I have a good life and I'm not tortured. I was absolutely tortured. Like, I didn't have good sobriety the first 2 years. I stayed sober, but it was hard work and I just wanted the traditions, but I don't even have a home group. The town I live in, I don't go to my local group. I go to one beside me. And in fact, I had a nightmare about one of the women in it last night. There's one of the women, she just doesn't like me. And that's why I haven't made it my home group. And I've been doing a lot of online meetings and I get a lot from it. And those like speakers, you know, the like conference speakers, and I've loads of things that come up about the traditions, and I'm so glad to be part of this group. Is it okay if I'm listening in from work that I switch my camera off? You know, because I work shifts, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No worries at all. Love to have you along, even just listening. Thanks so much for sharing with us. Thank you, Stacey. Wonderful to meet you. Welcome. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Yvonne, alcoholic. Thank you very much. I previously I was 11 days sober and clean, and yesterday I relapsed on drugs and drink. And that, I remember yesterday that morning, I was feeling really like, you know, there's nothing to life. You know, why am I living for, you know? I kept on thinking about chocolate again. What I'll do is I'll go into Marks and Spencer's, I said, and I'll buy a big box of chocolates and loads of sweets, and go home and stuff myself, yeah. And I've been doing that quite regular, you know. And then afterwards, I'm feeling really sluggish and unattractive, and you know, failure and stuff like that. So I started to reach out to people, and there's a couple of ladies that I spoke to, and one said, like, you know, you're in your head. You're very much in your head like that. She said you need to get a sponsor quick and go through the steps, and you know, try and phone someone else up and ask how they are, you know. But anyway, I got a bus to this town where I thought I would get a pedicure because I do a good pedicure. But then I decided to go up and visit someone I know, and I ended up having a smoke. I spent £50 worth of smoke, and I bought a quarter bottle of vodka. I drank that, and when I was in the house, like, you know, I knew that I was being used to put myself to get burnt, you know. But I said, no, stop this, Yvonne. Do you know what I mean? You know, you don't want to be sitting here spending all your money, you know, and really getting really ill and sick, you know what I mean? And get the hell out of this house now before you do any more damage. So I walked away, you know, and I didn't touch smoke or drink after that evening, and came home and just, you know, done some housework and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I tell you this now, there must be a power up there, because there's no way I could do it. I always got high or drunk. Always. That's never happened to me, you know what I mean? So that's just like one in a million, like, you know what I mean? Yes, but looking at the traditions and all that, yeah, you know, yeah, they're amazing, really, because you need them traditions put in place like that, and you know, like not a set of rules, but suggestions. You know what I mean? But I really do love this meeting, and I really do need support, and I really do want this. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to drink or take drugs. I'm sick of it, really. I am, and I don't have reservations in my head. I have surrendered, but the most important thing is that you know, I come back. I'm back again. Yeah, you know what I mean? So
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank
you
you.
for sharing with us. I'm really
You're
glad that
welcome.
you're here today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks. Just stay with us. See you all next week. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the meeting that Karen, regular attendee here for a long time, she wasn't here, sent her apologies. Obviously, she's at her father's funeral today, and also Nikki, who's been a regular attendee here a long time, has health issues. Vicky sent her apologies as well. Her daughter wasn't really doing well today. And my daughter is going in for some surgery tomorrow, which is quite big. So maybe we keep, and sorry if there's anyone else going through any issues, health crises, keep Yvonne as well in our prayers. Yvonne, that you might be able to get this gift that your higher power is offering you of sobriety. And so thank you so much, everyone, for being here and sharing and caring. And for those who wish to unmute and join in with the we version of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity
to accept
the things we cannot change,
courage to change things I can, and mercy to know the difference.
I will not mind be done.
Keep coming back because it works if you work it.